Hello, my fabulous Kitaholic Kits fans. It is Jess here, and thank you for joining me for a design team layout. So, are you loving your Sunkissed kit this month? I absolutely am. I cannot put it away. I have just adored making my layouts with this. And very long time ago, early 2020, maybe even 2019, I saw a bunch of layouts that used this idea of a gigantic yellow circle. I don't know who exactly did it. I feel there was a lot of people that did it. I think maybe Laura Alberts did one. I'm not 100% sure, but I do remember seeing this big giant yellow circle in the middle of a page, and I loved it. So I decided I was going to try my hand at that as well. So I traced my mixing bowl super lightly because I did not want the grey lead lines to be showing through at the end of my layout. Then I popped water all over the circle just to make it really swooshy. Now, you can tell already that I have not done anything to this page. I have not gessoed. I have not used watercolor paper, which I probably should have. So it is going to warp and it is going to absorb quite a lot, but I'm just going to roll with it. I will absolutely iron my paper tomorrow once it has dried, and I'm just going to keep rolling with it today. So I'm just trying to layer up this beautiful circle with a whole bunch of yellows. I kind of want to have one side darker than the other, a little bit of shading happening, but I'm also conscious of having sort of around the edge a little bit darker because that might help hide the grey lead. I want to try and keep it as perfect a circle as I can, with it still looking natural, and I'm just having a bit of a play. And I'm already loving how this is flowing together, and I cannot wait. I do have a bit of a mix-up coming up in just a minute. I get a little bit heavy-handed with my yellow, and I end up making a bit of a splash, a bit of a splatter. And that does make me cry just a little because it was also neat and beautiful and it was looking so good, and then splatter onto my gorgeous outline of the page. So I could have left it, but no, I ran my finger over it and ruined it. And then I tried to soak it up with the water, but of course the water's yellow because it has been used to clean my brush, and I end up just making it so much worse. So I decided to embrace the craziness of what's going on, and I actually end up painting all the way around the edge in white watercolor paint, and it does tone it down a little bit, but not completely. There is definitely still a mess happening on the page. So if you do this and you make a splatter, either just let that one spot dry because you can absolutely cover that with embellishment, or just embrace having a little bit of mess. It is totally fine. Don't do what I did and keep rubbing at it and making it worse. So I do go around the edge with some white. You can't really see it at all, but it does kind of smooth out the yellow splatter just a teeny tiny bit. So once this is done, I completely leave it to dry overnight. As I said before, I will iron it so it looks flat and is easier to work with tomorrow. I just iron it with my standard iron. No, just nothing. I just iron it. And that helps it go flat. You could absolutely just weigh it down with some books, but obviously don't want to weigh it down while it's wet. And then I didn't want to wait. I didn't want to have it dry and then weigh it down with books. I just wanted to use it straight away. So I ironed it and then I used it. So I'm going to flick back in a second and have a nice dry flattish page. So I have got my photo here. It's actually a terrible photo. The quality is terrible. The picture itself is not that good, but the story it tells is just a beauty for me. It is essentially the first day I went to work married, and I'm wearing my new badge with my new name. So nothing much, but we all remember being newlywed if we haven't been married already, and how exciting that is. So I have again fussy cut a whole bunch of florals off that beautiful 12x12 sheet because how can I not? And I am going to layer these around sort of heavier on the right hand side and flaking out on the left. You can also see that I've cut heaps of those little blue flowers because there are tons of those on the pattern paper that I didn't want to have go to waste. Well, they wouldn't go to waste, but I wanted to include them in this particular layout. So I'm just having a play with the arrangement, how the flowers are going to go, where exactly they're going to be, and just having a little old play. So this is the general feel-ish, but I will keep moving these flowers just a little until I get it just right. Once I'm happy, I will start sticking them down. I'm just sticking everything straight to the page, but I'm not like adhering every tiny little bit. I kind of want parts to be sort of sticking up and not properly adhered down. So there's a bit of a dimension and there's a bit of texture happening on the page. So once I go ahead and do all of that, I then have a few little embellishments I'm going to add that are not florals, but actually not that many. Most of this is just all going to be the florals talking. And you can see already with the way I'm laying out these embellishments that I totally could have covered those splatters with an embellishment without ruining them by adding more and more paint. So silly. I still haven't gotten over that clearly. So if you're not already sick of me just fiddling around with flowers, I've still got a little bit more footage of that to come for you. Yeah, I know. So I'm racking my brain to try and think of who used this big giant yellow spot, and I just cannot think of a particular person that has done it, but I absolutely know that I have seen multiple people do this. So thank you to all of the amazing people that have shared a layout using a big gigantic yellow spot. I remembered it. It totally stood in my brain and I wanted to do it too. I don't know if they painted the yellow spot themselves or if it came on a particular pattern paper. I genuinely have no idea, but I love it and thank you for sharing it. So once I am happy with the general placement of where these florals are, I just start gluing them down. And as I mentioned before, I'm not like slathering it with glue. There are bits that are sticking up, the bits of the florals are sticking up. They'll get flattened in my book anyway, but I love the way it sort of looks with some shadow, without it everything being 100% adhered down. I'm just going to go ahead and pop all of these little bits and bobs onto the page. I also have a title, which I'll pop on in a second. I didn't use the thickest that came in the kit, even though they're absolutely stunning. They didn't really have the sentiment of what this particular layout was all about and why this particular layout needed to be created and why it's just one single photo, like some random photo on a page. So I'm going to go ahead and literally label this Mrs. Ware, because why would you not want to remember basically your first day at work, where the kids are so used, as the middle of the year, so all of my kids still call me my old name and they have to get reminded to call me by my new name and all that fun. Why would you not want to remember that? So now I'm just sort of randomly putting on the little blue florals, still heavier on the right hand side and thinning out on the left, but I will spread those little blue ones a little bit more across the page than what I did with the large florals. I only have one ephemera heart left, so I'm just going to pop it on the page because I used the other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is it 8? Yeah, I think it was. The other 8 on my other 2 layouts that I've shared with you already. If you haven't seen those yet, definitely pop back through the playlist at Kitaholic Kits and see what you can see. So I just picked up my layout to see how this looked and realised I haven't even stuck on my photo yet, so I better do that. I kind of had forgotten what I'd stuck and what I hadn't because of the way I'd laid it out. But here we go. I didn't even mat the photo in anything more than just a white piece of paper. It absolutely could have had, some more colour behind the photo. But I think I was kind of going for, there's so much floral happening on the page that I thought that just one little white mat was enough. Then I pulled out a bunch of the phrases in the ephemera pack that sort of works with this particular photo, and there happened to be 3, which was the perfect number to just pop around on those embellishment clusters. And then I used all of the puffy flowers, just the flowers. I'm not sure why I didn't use the leaves, they're going to be hard to use later by themselves, aren't they, Jess? I really should have put those on, but I didn't. I just used flowers. And I'm just adding those to the little clusters. Just adds a little bit of dimension, a little bit of texture, something a little bit different to catch your eye on the page. Then I decided the photo itself didn't have anything particularly interesting going on with it, so I popped the love heart on top of it, and I will use one little teeny tiny puffy love heart on top of that as well, just to sort of tie it together. Looking good. Then I'm almost finished. I think I love the way this is going, so I think I'm just going to leave that be. Pull out some Heidi Swap Gold Colour Shine and sprinkle that on. I'm almost completely out, so it'll be a little bit hard to get too many splatters out of it. And then this beauty is complete. It was a super simple layout, just with heaps of florals and that beautiful giant yellow circle right in the center. But you can see it just is so eye-catching. It just works really, really well. So thank you so much for watching. I hope I have inspired you to do some fussy cutting and to do some watercolor painting onto your layout. And I cannot wait to see what you are creating with this kit this month. Thank you so much, everyone. And I look forward to seeing your creations and your beautiful layouts coming out in the Kitaholic Kits Facebook group. Thanks, everyone.